Alright, so we have some more new vector display. So what's happening is we have one dancer and we're gonna get hit, and when we get hit, we're gonna retaliate and do power charges, and then we can delete the bosses. That's as simple as that. So there's a little bit of unspoken rule about Path of Exile and guides in Path of Exile. If somebody gives you a shitty guide in Path of Exile, you never follow their advice ever again. That's it. And we'll move on. Alright. So Wind Dancer is going to have a melee tag. So because Wind Dancer has a melee tag, it is a melee skill, and it will work in a way that is very interesting with Culmination, because now Culmination sees that it can build up combo. So now Wind Dancer will build up combo whenever we use a strike attack. Alias Chime is connected to Culmination, so this is going to make any combo that's consumed from Wind Dancer to become power chargers, because Alias Chime sees the combo and will consume the combo and to make it power charges. I've explained how it works a little bit more in a previous video, and that's going to be the main kind of build guide. This is going to be more of an update showing kind of how impactful Wind Dancer can be after swapping to this, because anything that hits us is now going to proc a bleed, and we'll start to have their armor break, and Alias Chime will see the combos and consume the combos when the skill will trigger. This will allow us to gain power charges from being able to mace strike on either bar. We can mace strike, and we can also rend. So we could be on our front bar and we could be doing rend, because it is also a strike skill. So whenever we use rend and anything hits us, we will consume the combo that we have built up on Wind Dancer, and it will generate power charges. So you can generate power charges passively from simply just using your standard attacks, which is incredibly powerful. I'm just going through my skills here so you can get a brief overview of what I've swapped to at this point in time. Alright, so I'm going to give a brief overview of the skill tree here and show you some of the things that I've changed, and we'll talk about Giant's Blood for a second. Inherent life granted by strength is halved. So Giant's Blood is good, but it is also bad because of that. We lose a shit ton of survivability. Currently we are sitting around like 9,000 health, and if we take that node, I've tried a different setup where I tried using that instead with Wind Dancer, because Wind Dancer does more damage based off of your main hand weapon. And I'm also showing that this is on the front bar passives. as well. It's hard to see, so that's why I zoomed up close so that you guys can see that. And up there we also took some channeling effects for the front bar, and we swapped some passives for our back bar that allow us to be able to have more life recovery and other stuff like that. Mainly some of the damage taken nodes that we had before were just swapped to our front bar, and then we swapped some channeling skills to the back bar, so we have more damage on our Wyvern form. And I'm just going to go show you a brief overview of the stats and give you guys a brief overview of the gear, and then I'll show you guys kind of what this looks like in action. So, anything that hits us is going to break their armor and going to bleed. And once they die, they explode because of the hair of the blood from the bleed. And then they all have a chain reaction. So this isn't the best example right here, but I'm also going to show that you can swap out one of the support gems for armor explosion. And armor explosion is really good kind of in this deck because it's actually, and there's probably a handful of other things that are probably better, like poison 3 is also an honorable mention because it increases bleed magnitude, but it also allows poison to be done on hit. And if you do that, like that's currently what I have set up into it in the moment right here. And this version, I'm not using the alias chime setup on it. I'm just showing we gain the power charge right there because of our Breath of the Mountain, I believe it's called. It's a charm. So you now see here everything will daisy chain and explode basically just off of hitting us. And I'm just going to let you guys enjoy the rest of this. If you guys have any questions, if you are wondering about how I use this specifically, basically anything that dies from the bleed is going to trigger our Herald of Blood. And I'm also showing right here that we're not using this unique weapon, we're just have a skin on our weapon. So just wanted to mention that in case anyone saw that and thought that we were using that. We are not, but I just like how it looks on my character. We're showing right now that we have to have exactly 116 decks in order to run Wind Blast at the level that we're running at right now. So there is a little bit of a dexterity requirement in order to get to this point, but all of the gear that we're running isn't super crazy. We're not using anything that's like super expensive. We're not using any crazy uniques other than the surrender. Mine is corrupted, and it's got a somewhat unethical corruption on it. But so, and you don't need to find one that's this crazy. I just got lucky, and I like the shield, and so I'm going to be continuing to use that shield. And when you're looking for surrenders, you basically want to find one with like good block chance at first, and then after you find one with good block chance later, you could find one with like decent armor and block chance. But at first you just need to find one with good block chance, and those usually cost like 1 exalt, or like 10 to 15 exalted for like a really decent one with block chance and good armor. Yeah, but that's it. We're not using anything super crazy. We're just using a bunch of things that are allowing us to stack defenses and be just really tanky overall, and mitigate a lot of physical damage from being able to utilize Scar Faith and utilize other things that allow us to gain a shit ton of health recovery over time. And so this is how we're able to mitigate a shit ton of damage, but we're also using Avatar's Evolution, which allows us to use double adaptation effects. So whenever we take like any kind of elemental damage, we start adapting to that elemental damage and we take less of that elemental damage. With armor applied to elemental damage, it is pretty considerable for defenses, especially when we're using the surrender with this high block chance. So that's about it. I hope you guys enjoy the changes. If you have any questions, let me know and leave a comment.
Now that's a find.
Vile dog! Now you shall meet your end!